Hey guys, what's going on? It is Zach Miller again, and I am covering the new movie, the Angelina Jolie movie, Couture. And this is a film about a director played by Angelina Jolie, Maxine Walker. It is in the backdrop of the Paris Fashion Week. It is also directed by Alice Winocour, and she is also known for, let me just look up and make sure this is correct. She's done some TV work on The Deal, and she has a lot of other small feature work before this, but this was definitely a big appeal for her to work with Angelina Jolie. So Angelina is a film director. As I said, she is brought to a job in Paris for Fashion Week. She casts a new up-and-coming model, Ada, who is played by Anei. And then this also involves two other women, Ella Rumpf, who is Angélie, and Garance, Marillier, Christine. So there is a seamstress, a makeup artist, Ada, who is the model, and Maxine. And they have a lot of different moments where they cross paths with one another in their own workplace environment. I think this movie is using Fashion Week in a really interesting way because Fashion Week can notoriously be a very toxic environment in a lot of ways, where it is about showing the best of the best with women's body image, or showing the best of the best with how to dress and body type and physical appearance, or overhearing things that are very toxic and demeaning for women in the workplace. And there's a lot of nods to that in different ways for each of our four characters in this film. So I felt like this was a creative way at approaching that. Once you watch the movie, you'll understand more. I'm not going to get too much into spoilers, but all four of these characters encounter something with body image, either physically or mentally. The makeup artist is challenged by, she's trying to write a novel based off of her work experiences and things that she's overhearing that can be very alarming. Just doing work as a makeup artist, she sees a lot of different things that women have to go through when they're behind the scenes, or conversations about the women and how to dress them. Ada is very new. She's from Africa, and she is first exposed to Fashion Week and just fashion in general, and she's learning how to walk the runway. So she's kind of learning how to literally walk in new shoes, and she feels very insecure about her own look. She thinks that she's ugly, and she says that in the movie, but a lot of other people are trying to uplift her through this experience, but she also butts heads with a few other people. So there's a lot of back and forth between the four characters. Predominantly, it's Angelina Jolie, who is going through a divorce. She is alone, and she is working in a foreign country. So she has to work with a cinematographer and a bunch of other people. She gets closer with the cinematographer, and there is a lot of stuff that ensues with them. But basically, she is learning that she has to go to a doctor's appointment immediately. She gets a phone call from her doctor at home, and a series of events ensue, and she knows now that something could happen where it affects her physical appearance. And there, you can see that there's an internal battle between her and her career and things that could happen after this point. So it's kind of earth-shattering news where she doesn't know how this will affect her family or her career. And I think that's something that women especially have to think about more than men in these situations, especially in entertainment. You have to make a lot of sacrifices, either on maternity leave or other sicknesses and illnesses. And I think that the movie hits a lot of those points where Angelina is faced with abrupt appointments to a doctor's office, and she's kind of in a moment of vulnerability, and she doesn't know where to turn, and she's alone in another country, as well as trying to nurture an environment for other women in this workplace where she's even having her own internal struggles, and she's trying to put on a face for people. So I thought that was very special about the movie. I haven't really seen movies about women's body image done correctly too much, at least from what I've seen. I think this is something that has done it pretty well for the most part. It doesn't have a great rating on IMDb. I will say that it has a 5.7 out of 10. So it's definitely something that is divisive for a lot of audiences. It hasn't been seen by a ton of people yet. But I think it's something that is important, and it's done in a creative way. It's really like a smaller movie too, where you are focused on the characters. And by smaller, I mean it's a character piece where you can really focus in on what are these people's intentions here? How is this setting affecting them? All of the four performances are great. The seamstress has the least amount of screen time, but she's making the opening show dress, the first dress that's going to walk down the runway. So this is something super important, and you can see that she has a big task in front of her and she's trying to get it right. But you can see also that she's stressed about this work environment. There, something that involves Fashion Week too is just very high pressure, different environment for her where she has to deliver. And that's just the reality too of this environment for anybody, especially women in this workplace. So, the stakes are high for all of these characters in their own way. Ada, the model from Africa, knows that if she does not do this correctly as the lead runway model, that she could be in big trouble and her career could be sunk down the drain, and she's trying to do this for her family. So there are a lot of great plots for each of these characters. And maybe what something audiences aren't considering is, does this accomplish the task successfully? Maybe some of these things went over people's heads. Maybe it's not executed perfectly, and maybe I'm leaning into other things and coming up with my own conclusions, but I'm interested to hear other people's thoughts on this as well. But yeah, and I wanted to just mention too, I really appreciate films that integrate actors from different countries. Another thing that we want to focus on here at our network too is highlighting people from different areas in the world or different perspectives in the world. And I really feel like having an American star like Angelina Jolie, and then you have other actors involved that are from different parts of the world, I think that's just really perfect for the setting. And it's a well casted movie. Whether it lives up to the hype with the actual story and if it's entertaining enough for people, that is up to each of their own. It's going to be a relative experience for each person, but I think that this was a nice take on a fashion related film. It's not really a film about fashion and the importance of fashion or the art of fashion, but it's about the four people that are involved with Fashion Week. And the Fashion Week Paris week just happens to be the setting for each of these characters. But you can see that the fashion atmosphere just has different effects on each of them. So I won't say too much more than that. I think if I gave away spoilers, it would be a difficult movie to watch the rest of. But yeah, I think it's worth checking out. I think there's not a ton out at the moment too that are smaller pieces. We're still waiting on awards stuff to happen in the fall. Maybe this gets some kind of nod. I don't think it will get any Oscar nominations, but I really enjoyed Angelina Jolie in this movie. I think she's really got this great subdued performance, and you can feel the weight coming down on her, and she's not really doing much except with her eyes and her facial expressions. I feel like we've talked about that a lot on this podcast, but a good subtle performance is very challenging to do, and I think it was one of my favorite roles I've seen Angelina in a long time. So if you're a fan of hers, definitely check it out. But yeah, so this has been my review of Couture, and I definitely recommend it. It's directed by Alice Winocour, like I said. But yeah, be sure to check it out in theaters, and thank you for tuning in on this review.
This is The Culture.